Just a word about Hank Williams. He was born in 1923 and lived all of 29 years. Was an American singer and a songwriter, became an icon in country music, one of the most influential songwriters of the 20th century. He lived in places in Alabama, mostly Montgomery, Nashville, and Shreveport, and he was a leading pioneer in honky-tonk style of country music. He was a follow-up, if you remember, sometime we explained that it was started by Jimmy Rogers down in Mississippi as the start of this type of music, honky-tonk. And then Hank came along, and I mean, he filled the screen. He had 11 #1 single hits, several of which came over in the pop singles chart. But from birth, he suffered from a spinal defect, which resulted in heavy use of alcohol and morphine. His best-known records, we'll play all three of them tonight: Cold, Cold Heart, Cheating Heart, and Take These Chains From My Heart. He was a heart man, I guess. His death came upon a trip he was making from Knoxville to Canton, Ohio. The weather was bad. Normally he took an airplane, but he was going for an engagement. He had had a shot of morphine and B12. And halfway up there, his driver, who was a 17-year-old boy driving a Cadillac, stopped in West Virginia to get gas and food, and he was cold dead. And the funeral was held in Montgomery and composed the largest crowd ever gathered in Montgomery. Two of his hits had never been published and were published, but they held it up to 6 months: Cheating Heart and Kalijah. And the last single that he sang was I'll Never Get Out of This World Alive. That's sort of strange that he sang that. In 2002, which was 50th anniversary, he was ranked by CMT as the #2 greatest man in country music after Johnny Cash. He had 300 songs published that he wrote.
Can you imagine that? I mean, and he only lived to be 29 years old.
All right. Okay, this first one we'll have is Your Cheating Heart. This is one of them that I mentioned he wrote right at the end of 1952, and before it got published he had passed away, so they held it up for 6 months. Your cheating heart will make you weep. You cry and cry and try to sleep, but sleep won't come the whole night through. Your cheating heart will tell on you when tears roll down like falling rain. We'll toss around and call my name. You'll walk the floor just the way I do. Your cheating heart will tell you. Your cheating heart will pine someday and crave the love you threw away. The time will come when you'll be blue. Your cheating heart will tell on you when tears roll down like falling rain. You'll toss around and call my name. You'll walk the floor the way I do. Your cheating heart will tell me.
Boy, that brings it back, doesn't it? I mean, that brings back those memories. I loved that song, even though I didn't have the slightest idea what they were talking about.
Well, I tell you that he was married twice, and his first wife didn't go along too well. His second wife contends, and we have a copy of her statement on that he told her the story while they were writing, and essentially made up the song, and it was about his first wife.